Hello and welcome to this episode. Today we are going to talk about brakes and how to maintain them correctly. What I'm about to show you will stop brake squeal and make your brake system more efficient and last longer. It's something that should be done once a year, and if you have a new bike it might be worth following this procedure, as some manufacturers use brake grease very sparingly. The bike I will be performing this on is my 2024 Honda Monkey 125. However, if you own a different bike, this video will still be extremely helpful. Right, let's get into it. We are going to start on the front brakes. First, remove the sliding pin as shown. Both pads will now slide out from the bottom. Here you can see mine are very scored and have rough edges. This will cause brake squeal. What we need to do is clean this up and chamfer the edges. Here you can see this is the case for both pads. But before we do that, we are going to remove the whole caliper. Remove this ABS wire clip. Now remove the caliper bracket bolts. Now slide off the caliper bracket assembly. Lay all the components out neatly. Now we need to remove this sharp edge. With some sandpaper, chamfer all the edges as shown. Do this on both pads, top and bottom edges. With some brake cleaner, give everything a spray and wipe clean. Make sure you clean out all the grooves as well. Clean the sliding pins as shown. If rust is present, then use some light sandpaper. Lay the parts out ready for installation in a minute. Right, let's clean the caliper and pistons. Very gently pull the brake lever in small increments. You will see the piston move. Stop when the piston is at approximately 1/4 inch. Give them a good clean. Right, this is the important stuff. This is specially designed brake component grease. It stops galvanic corrosion, it's high temperature resistant, waterproof and specially designed for ABS electrical systems. A link to this stuff is in the description below. Now grab someone else's toothbrush and spread the grease. Apply it as shown. Grab a cloth and push the pistons back in. Then give the caliper a good clean. Grease the sliding pins and slide them onto the caliper. Make sure you don't pinch the rubber. Check that all the components slide nice and freely. Use some Loctite on the caliper bracket mount bolts as shown. Slide on the assembly and line up the bolt holes. Screw both bolts in with your fingers first. Tighten these bolts to 30 Newton meters. Reinstall the ABS wire clip. Gently grease the pad backing plate. It's very important to keep the brake lining material free from any grease. Slide the first pad in and locate it on the sliding pin here as shown. Do the same for the next pad. This locates on the slider here as shown. Now grease the retaining pin. Tighten this pin to 17 Newton meters. Make sure you pump the front brake lever to settle the pads. This step is very important. Keep pulling the lever until it goes hard. Right then, let's move on to the rear. Remove the retaining pin grommet. Now remove the pin. Pull both pads out. Here you can see it's the same situation as the front. We have sharp edges and scoring. You can even see part of the pad that isn't even making contact. This will be down to a stiff sliding pin. As mentioned, lack of grease from new, as this bike has only covered 700 miles. Now normally removing this rear caliper will require removal of the rear wheel, but we can work around this. Now only do this part if you are confident with tightening bolts correctly, as there is a chance you may strip a thread. Unscrew the sliding pin as shown. It will be very tight. You will need to come in through the wheel on the left side as shown. Now that's off, grab a spanner and remove the next sliding pin. You will need to crack it off and use your fingers here. Now that's off, you can slide the caliper out. As like the front, give everything a good clean, chamfer the pad edges and grease all the components that is required. Also, as with the front, be gentle and push the brake lever to move the caliper piston a 1/4 inch. Give this all a good clean and grease. Install the components as shown in this order. Tighten the sliding pins. Grease the backing plates. Install the front facing pad first and then install the rear facing pad. Locate the pads here as shown. Clean the retaining pin and grease. This is also tightened to 17 Newton meters. Now reinstall the grommets. Another important step, make sure you pump the rear brake pedal until it goes hard. This step is very vital. Now job done. Here are the tools required. Specific brake grease, medium Loctite, 6mm Allen key, 12mm socket, 12mm spanner, 8mm socket, 5mm Allen key, a 1/4 drive torque wrench, your partner's toothbrush, some sandpaper and some brake cleaner. Links are in the description below. Right, that is the end of the video. If you learned something today, please give me a like. You can also follow me on these platforms. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, I've been Nick, and I'll catch you on the next episode. ride safe.